Story number 1. The first time I saw mile marker 0, I didn't think anything of it. Just another green sign on the side of an old Texas highway, faded and forgotten. I'd driven past it dozens of times, hauling overnight freight between El Paso and Amarillo. But that night, the sign didn't look right. It wasn't just weathered, it looked wrong, like it had been placed there recently, despite looking like it had been rotting for years. Its numbers glowed faintly under my headlights. I slowed down without realizing it. The engine idled too quietly. No crickets, no wind. And then my CB crackled. Breaker, 1-9. Anyone see that hitchhiker near 0? I hadn't passed anyone for hours. I reached for the mic. What hitchhiker? A pause. Then, you will. Static. I should have turned around. Instead, I kept going. That stretch of highway, Route 6, was notorious for being dead quiet. No towns for 60 miles. Just brushland, barbed wire, and open sky. But a few minutes past mile marker 0, my radio cut out completely. Every station, dead air. Then the headlights dimmed for half a second. I sat up straighter. The rig was only 2 years old. Everything had always worked. Up ahead, I saw something on the side of the road. A figure, barefoot, pale, long black hair and a tattered white dress. At first I thought it was a woman, but as I got closer, I realized something wasn't right. She wasn't standing so much as swaying, like she was being held up by strings. Her limbs looked too long, joints too bent. Her head twitched to the side when my lights hit her. I swerved to avoid her instinct, and in that instant, I swear I saw her eyes. Pitch black. No whites, no pupils, just void. I kept driving, didn't look back. 5 miles later, I finally exhaled. I radioed out again, nothing. Then the temperature gauge spiked, just shot up. The engine started hissing. Then, slam. The whole truck jerked like I'd hit something. I pulled to the shoulder and got out. Nothing, not a scratch, no blowout, no steam, just silence. Then I noticed something. Mile marker 0, right next to me, again. I had driven at least 10 miles past it. And yet, there it was. Same bent post. Same flickering green glow. I climbed back in the cab and hit the gas. Didn't care about the load. Didn't care about the rules. I just drove. Every time I looked out the window, the landscape was slightly off. Trees where there weren't trees before. Fences broken in different ways. The moon changed size. Then I saw her again. In the middle of the road this time. No time to swerve. I braced for impact, but nothing happened. She vanished right before I hit her. But my windshield cracked, right in front of my face. From inside, I screamed, pulled over, turned off the engine, shaking. And then, faintly, I heard scratching from the back of the trailer, like long nails dragging across metal. I stepped out, heart in my throat, walked to the back. The door was unlatched, even though I'd sealed it myself with the shipping bolt. Pulled it open. Empty. No cargo. Just wet footprints leading from the front of the trailer to the edge where I stood. Barefoot. Small. Human. The hairs on my neck rose. I backed away slowly, climbed in, locked the cab, and then the lights flickered again. In the rearview mirror, in the dark of the sleeper, I saw her face, inches from mine, mouth hanging open, eyes like black holes. I screamed, swung around, nothing there. I drove. I don't know how long. Time started stretching. Hours felt like minutes. Minutes like eternity. And no matter how far I went, every time I looked to the right, mile marker 0. Every single time. By the time I saw real headlights again, I'd lost 18 hours. When I rolled into Amarillo, I stumbled out of the cab like a drunk. The shipping yard guy looked confused. "We already received your load yesterday," he said. I showed him my logs. Showed him the now empty trailer. He blinked. "That's not possible. You dropped it at 3:17 a.m. Same truck. Same plates. Same everything." But I hadn't. I was on the road at 3:17 a.m., screaming my lungs out while ghosts tried to whisper into my mind. They showed me the security footage. It was me, but not me. I wasn't blinking. I wasn't talking, just staring straight ahead as I parked, stepped out, and walked into the shadows off camera. I don't remember any of it. They found wet footprints in the cab. They said it must have been a prank. Some glitch in the logs. But I know what I saw. And now, every time I drive at night, I pass mile marker 0. Even when I'm not in Texas. Even when I'm hundreds of miles away. It's always there. And sometimes, I look in the mirror and see her. Closer. Smiling. Waiting. Story number 2. It was a dead stretch of I-90, right through the Montana Basin. Flat land, no service, just miles of darkness and endless 2-lane blacktop. I was hauling refrigerated freight, just a solo overnight run from Spokane to Minneapolis. I'd done it a dozen times, and I usually enjoyed the solitude. This night was different. At 1:37 a.m., my CB radio came alive, despite total radio silence for hours. Breaker, breaker. You seein' the boy? The voice was faint, crackling with static. But it had weight, urgency. I grabbed the mic. What boy? Ain't nobody out here. Nothing. I figured it was some tired trucker playing games or miskeyed transmission. I turned the squelch down and kept driving. But 10 miles later, I saw something up ahead on the shoulder. A kid, standing perfectly still, barefoot, in a tattered striped shirt and jeans, holding a stuffed bear that looked like it had been through a house fire. I slowed down. Every instinct screamed not to stop. But I did anyway. Rolled to a halt, flashers on, and stepped out with my flashlight. The boy didn't move. I called out to him. Hey, buddy. You okay? Are you lost? No answer. No flinch. I took a step closer, and the boy blinked, but the blink was all wrong. Slow. Too slow. Like it was being remembered rather than done. That's when I noticed his feet weren't touching the ground. He was hovering. Just barely. Couple inches. I backed up fast. Then he smiled. A twitchy, crooked smile that didn't match the rest of his face, and vanished. Gone. No puff of smoke. Just not there. I jumped back in the cab and slammed the door. Locked it. Checked the sleeper. Checked under the dash. All clear. I hit the gas. The CB crackled again. Shouldn't have stopped. The voice was deeper now. Wet. Thick. Like it was speaking through water. Who is this? I asked. No reply. Then my engine revved on its own, roaring to life like I'd floored the pedal, even though my foot was nowhere near it. The truck surged forward, faster than I wanted. The headlights flickered. The wheel resisted my hands, like someone else was pulling it. I fought it, slowed. The cruise control light blinked on, though I never touched it. I turned it off. It blinked back on. Then the CB whispered again. Mile 182. He likes mile 182. I didn't know what to make of it, but I looked at the GPS and realized I was close, just 4 miles away. Every instinct screamed to detour, to stop, to turn around, but I couldn't. Something was pulling the truck forward. The gas gauge dropped, even though I just filled up in Billings. The air got cold, so cold my windows froze over from the inside. By mile 182, I saw headlights behind me. Close. But when I checked the mirrors, there was no vehicle. Just those twin points of yellow light, bobbing and weaving as if they were attached to a truck riding my back bumper. I radioed again. Who's behind me? Nothing. Then the lights behind me rose, as if whatever was chasing me lifted into the air, and then blinked out. That's when I heard the knock. 3 slow knocks on the passenger door. From outside, while I was going 60 miles per hour. I glanced over and saw the boy again, inside the cab, in the passenger seat. His head lolled sideways, mouth slightly open, and his eyes were bleeding. I screamed, swerved. The truck jerked violently and skidded across the lane, nearly tipping. When I looked back, the seat was empty. I pulled over, heart pounding, trying to catch my breath. That's when the sleeper curtain behind me moved. Something was crawling inside. I grabbed the tire iron and yanked the curtain open. Nothing. But the bedding was wet, damp, and smelled like old wood and stagnant pond water. I didn't sleep that night. Drove straight through. Every few minutes, the CB would hiss with static, or someone would whisper my name, my full name. By the time I got to Minneapolis, I hadn't eaten or blinked in what felt like hours. The delivery yard guy asked me if I was okay. He said, "Man, you look like you've seen a ghost." I told him about the boy. His face changed. "You were on I-90 last night?" "Yeah." "Mile 182? "Yeah." He nodded slowly. "That kid's been seen for years. No one knows where he came from. Some say he was dumped out there by his folks. Others say he crawled out of a lake. But everyone who sees him—" "What?" I asked. "They don't sleep right after. They don't come back the same." He wasn't lying. For the next 6 nights, the boy appeared in my passenger seat at random times. At gas stations. At loading docks. Once, during a shower at a truck stop, I saw him behind the curtain. His reflection in the mirror, smiling that crooked grin. I stopped taking loads at night. But sometimes, even now, the CB still comes alive at 1:37 a.m. And a soft voice asks, "Breaker, breaker, you seeing the boy?" And I know he's coming. Story number 3. It was supposed to be a simple overnight run, Dallas to Kansas City. A load labeled industrial equipment, sealed tight, with explicit instructions. Do not open. Do not delay. No overnight stops. I didn't ask questions. Freight's freight. Money was good. Too good, really. I should have known then. Dispatcher handed me a thick manila envelope along with the keys and paperwork. "This load, weird one," he said. "Everything checks out. But you follow instructions exactly. Don't be late. And don't open the trailer." I gave him a look. "You serious?" He nodded, eyes hard. "Dead serious." I laughed off the tension, climbed into the cab, and hit the road just before sundown. The rig was older than I liked, but it rumbled to life fine. Everything normal at first, but after about 2 hours on the road, my GPS screen started glitching. It would flicker between locations. 1 minute I was just north of Denton. Next minute it jumped to some road in Louisiana. Then back again. Brushed it off. Maybe a loose wire. I turned on the radio to kill the silence. Every station, static. Even satellite. Just white noise. That's when I started hearing something. Faint. Beneath the hiss. Voices. Whispering. But it didn't sound like English. Or any language I recognized. I turned it off. Kept driving. Night fell fast, and the truck's interior lights dimmed by themselves. Like someone was slowly turning the knob, even though I hadn't touched it. And the temperature dropped. Fast. I turned on the heat. Nothing. My breath came out in white puffs inside the cab. Then banging. From inside the trailer. I froze. 3 distinct thuds. Not random. Deliberate. I pulled over onto the shoulder, heart hammering. Grabbed my flashlight, stepped out, and walked to the rear. Trailer seal was intact. Lock unbroken. But I swear I could feel something watching me. A vibration in the metal. Like a heartbeat. And that smell, rot and something like rusted iron. I stepped back, hands shaking, and got back in the truck. Started driving again. 10 minutes later, the banging started again. Louder. Then a voice, clear as day. "Let us out." Came from the sleeper behind me. I nearly swerved off the road. There was no one there. I stopped again, this time in the middle of nowhere, and ripped open the sleeper curtain. Empty. But the bedding was soaked in something dark. Sticky. Not blood. But not blood either. I was done. I grabbed my phone, called dispatch. Line rang once, then went dead. Called again. Nothing. I tried texting. My phone shut off by itself. The cab lights turned red. Then the truck engine died. I sat there in the dark, in dead silence, with the smell of decay creeping in like fog. That's when I heard the whispers again. This time inside the cab. All around me, dozens of voices. Weeping, moaning, laughing, then screaming, like someone was being burned alive inside the trailer. And I smelled it, burnt hair, charred flesh. I grabbed the flashlight, jumped out, and ran to the back. The seal? Gone. The trailer doors? Open. Swinging gently. And inside was nothing. Empty. Except for black soot all over the walls. And handprints. Small ones. Children's. All over. I backed away. Then the door slammed shut by itself, loud enough to rattle the hinges. I ran back to the cab, tried starting the truck. Dead. I sat there until dawn. The truck started again like nothing happened. I drove in silence. No music. No heat. No voice. When I got to Kansas City, the receiver looked confused. "This isn't our shipment." I handed him the manifest. "Says Kansas City. Same address." He frowned. "Yeah, it's our address, but the job number isn't in our system." A man in a black coat stepped out of a nearby sedan. No ID, just a clipboard. "This loads ours," he said. "Sign here." The receiver hesitated. "Who are you with?" "Government," the man said. "Don't worry about it." The guy signed. I unhooked the trailer, pulled out fast. Later that night, I checked the manifest again. Now it read, "Live recovery, Class 7. Do not interact." Typed at the bottom, "Property of Ward 6, Site 39. Authorized transport only." I never took another mystery load again. But sometimes, on cold nights when I pass an abandoned shoulder or see a trailer with no logo, I hear a faint whisper from my empty story number 4. I had been on the road for over 16 years and thought I'd seen it all. Drunk drivers, strange hitchhikers, even a tornado that almost took me and my rig off a bridge near Oklahoma City. But what happened to me on Route 66 near mile marker 301 wasn't something you forget. It wasn't something you survive the same way either. Started around midnight. I was hauling a load of auto parts from Flagstaff, Arizona, to Albuquerque, New Mexico. The drive was familiar, the road mostly straight, and the desert air sharp with chill despite the late summer heat. I was sipping lukewarm coffee, the CB silent, my GPS glowing dim green. The road ahead was dark except for what my high beams touched. Around mile marker 285, I noticed a shape on the shoulder. At first, I thought it was roadkill or some debris. Then it stood up. A man, no, something man-shaped, rose slowly, too slowly, and turned to face the truck. I slammed on the brakes, instinctively swerving to avoid hitting it. My trailer fishtailed, and the cab shook hard, but I managed to straighten out. I looked in the rearview mirror. No one was there, just open highway and dust. Shaken, I pushed on, muttering curses and promising myself I'd pull over at the next truck stop for a break. But as I passed mile marker 301, the radio screeched to life. A voice, garbled, choked, like it was underwater. "Don't stop. Don't look. Don't stop. Don't." Then silence. No channel was open. My CB was off. That's when I saw the truck behind me. Big rig. Black. No lights. No markings. Just there. I hadn't passed anyone in hours. No one should have caught up to me. I watched the mirrors. It followed perfectly. No weaving. No hesitation. I tapped my brakes to signal. No change. Then it flashed its high beams, bright enough to blind me for a second. I hit the gas. Every mirror showed the same thing. A dark, silent truck with no driver visible through the windshield. And then it was gone. I didn't see it peel off or fall back. It just disappeared. I shook my head, thinking maybe I was losing it. Long hauls, too much caffeine, not enough rest. Then I looked down. My odometer was running backwards. Slowly, but definitely ticking down. I tapped the dash. Nothing. Looked at my GPS. The map showed me on no road. Just blank gray, as if I had driven off the edge of the world. I looked up and slammed on the brakes. In the center of the road, illuminated by my headlights, was a woman in a hospital gown. She was barefoot, thin, arms hanging limp at her sides. Her hair was wet, plastered to her face and shoulders. She didn't flinch. I honked, yelled. Nothing. I wasn't about to get out, but I eased forward slowly, inching toward her. She took a single step forward, then another. Each footfall echoed, even though I was in the cab. And then she lifted her face. Her eyes were stitched shut, not swollen, not bruised, sewn, with thick, black thread. Crude, painful looking, and she smiled. I threw the truck in reverse. The engine groaned, trailer shaking. Behind me, more figures emerged on the shoulder. Dozens. All wearing hospital gowns. All barefoot. All with stitched eyes. They began walking toward me from every direction. Silent. Deliberate. I floored it, veered off the road, and tore across the desert shoulder until I found pavement again. My hands were shaking. I was gasping, cold sweat dripping down my neck, and the radio came back. Static. Then that voice again. Mile 301. She always waits. I didn't stop until I reached the lights of Albuquerque. Parked at a well-lit Love's truck stop and locked every door twice. I told another driver what happened. An old-timer named Red. He went pale. "You saw her?" he asked. "Jesus. You know about this?" He nodded. Back in '92, a driver named Tate picked up a hitchhiker near mile 301. Said she was from a hospital, escaped or something. He never made it to his destination. They found his truck upside down in a ditch, cab door open, and the inside full of muddy footprints. Barefoot. I never took Route 66 again. But a year later, out of curiosity or stupidity, I looked up local news archives. Back in the 1970s, a bus carrying psychiatric patients from a defunct institution in Arizona crashed near, mile marker 301. A freak dust storm blew the bus off the road. All 23 passengers and the driver were killed. Most burned. A few were never recovered. The paper said one was found wandering weeks later. Eyes stitched shut, muttering about a woman who walks at night and collects the ones who look back. I never sleep through the night anymore. And every now and then, when I pass through an empty stretch of road, even if it's not Route 66, my odometer ticks backward, and the radio hisses. And I keep my eyes on the road, because she's still there, waiting. Sleeper. Let us out. And I don't stop.